John F. Kennedy was a threat to the national security, which that's what all these little brush fire wars all over the world are all about. That's why cancer cures are suppressed. It's because they fully intend to kill a minimum of 2 billion people by the year 2000.
في عام 1992 جلس رجل أمام الكاميرا ليكشف أسراراً كلفت الكثيرين حياتهم. ويليام بيل كوبر، ضابط سابق في الاستخبارات البحرية الأمريكية، كسر جدار الصمت. لم يكن مجرد باحث عن نظريات المؤامرة، بل كان رجلاً اطلع على وثائق حكومية بالغة السرية. في هذا الوثائقي سنغوص في أعماق أخطر ما كشفه كوبر، حقائق حساسة ومروعة عن العالم الذي نظن أننا نعرفه.
It actually started our house sitting around the kitchen table, talking about their exploits in the cockpit and what they had seen in the skies. And some of that talk involved UFOs, and what some of them called Foo Fighters. And I traveled all over the world, lived on military bases for most of my life. I was really an indoctrinated individual, you might say. I was as establishment as you could get, as gung-ho, pro-government, pro-America, pro-military. And that's why I went into the military, because that had been so much of my life. I went into the Air Force. I was in the Strategic Air Command for 4 years as an aircraft and missile hydraulic technician, which is, I worked on the pneumatic and hydraulic systems of B-52 bombers, KC-135 aircraft and Minuteman missiles.
البداية كانت في عام 66. كوبر وهو على متن غواصة نووية شهد حادثة غيرت مجرى حياته للأبد. مركبة معدنية ضخمة تخرج من أعماق المحيط وتطير نحو السماء. لكن الصدمة الكبرى لم تكن فيما رآه، بل في أوامر القيادة العسكرية، الصمت التام أو السجن. لاحقاً اكتشف كوبر عبر وثائق مشروع ماجستيك أن الحكومات لا تخفي وجود الكائنات الفضائية فحسب، بل تتعاون معها سراً أو تستخدمها كأكبر عملية خداع نفسي للسيطرة على الشعوب.
Force, I met sergeants, men who were older than me and had been in the Air Force for quite a while, told me that they had participated in projects that had recovered crashed extraterrestrial craft, what you call UFOs. And they never told these stories unless they'd had quite a bit to drink. So I never really believed it. I thought, well, these guys are running a scam on me, even though I'd heard about these things when I was a kid. I just still didn't believe it. It's just so far out in left field, it's not something that you really give any serious thought to until something personal happens, which came later. While I left the Air Force, I went into the Navy, which is really where I wanted to be. While we were on a transit from the Portland-Seattle area, on the surface, I was the port lookout, and I saw the most incredible thing that I think I've ever seen in my life. And it had such a profound effect upon my view of the universe and the world that we live in, that I wish everybody could experience this. I saw come up out of the ocean, from beneath the surface of the sea, a huge disc-shaped craft about the size of a midway-class aircraft carrier, which is tremendous in size. Even though that's one of our smallest carriers there was then, it's still a huge, tremendously big object. Came up out of the ocean and rose into the air and tumbled on its axis and went up into the clouds, and I was awestruck, dumbstruck. And I mean dumbstruck, literally. I could not utter a sound. And my first impulse was to tell the officer of the deck that I'd seen a flying saucer, and then luckily for me, I couldn't talk. Because on second thought, that's not what I really wanted to say, because I didn't want to be the only Looney Tunes character on a submarine with a tight-knit crew that you had to live in close quarters with, because that's a hell of a way to live. So I told the officer of the deck that I'd seen something about 15 degrees off the port bow at a relative distance of about 2.5 nautical miles. And he began to look in that area. And the starboard lookout had heard me tell him this, and he began to look over there. And while we were all three watching, either the same craft or another one exactly like it came down out of the clouds, tumbled again on its, why it did this maneuver, I don't know, but every single time it did it. It's like it came down in this attitude, and then it flipped over and then entered the water. And the water just appeared to open up in front of it. It's just like the account in the Bible about the parting of the Red Sea. That's exactly what happened. The sea actually parted and this thing went into the water and it closed up behind it. And this big spraying went up into the air. But it wasn't a spray from the craft hitting the water. It was a spray from the water coming back in to fill up this hole that had been created. And again, I'm thinking this is incredible. What are we looking at here?
في 22 من نوفمبر عام 63 لم يفقد الأمريكيون رئيسا فحسب، بل فقدوا جمهوريتهم. يكشف كوبر عن واحدة من أكثر قضاياه حساسية: اغتيال جون اف كينيدي. كينيدي كان يمثل تهديدا مباشرا للنظام العالمي الجديد وللبنك المركزي الاحتياطي الفيدرالي. كوبر يؤكد بناء على وثائق استخباراتية أن القاتل لم يكن لهارفي أوزوالد، بل السائق الشخصي للرئيس. عملية إعدام دبرتها جمعيات سرية تدير العالم من خلف الكواليس وتغلغلت في كل مفاصل الدولة.
I saw documents which told me what happened in Dallas and why. And basically what these documents said was that the intelligence community felt that John F. Kennedy was a threat to the national security, which translated into reality means was a threat to the New World Order, the one world government, which they were actively in the process of forming.
Was there anything on record that indicated that he was out to, things that he did would threaten that New World Order?
Oh, absolutely. He had written an executive order. I don't remember the exact number now, but it's available to anybody that wants to go look it up. He had written an executive order ordering the printing of United States notes, which would have broken the back of the Federal Reserve, which is one of the major instruments of propelling the United States into the New World Order by destroying our economy, the basis upon which we live, the basis upon which our whole society is founded, is being ripped right out from under us. That was one. Number two, he refused to provide air support to the invasion of Bay of Pigs, which ensured that would be a failure. He had threatened publicly on several occasions to disband the CIA and scatter it to the thousand winds. He had ordered, in the documents that I saw, he had ordered the intelligence community prepare a plan to disclose the truth about UFOs to the public. Now, I don't know what that truth was. Could be that maybe there are no extraterrestrials. But whatever the truth was, he had ordered a plan to be prepared that disclosure was going to be done according to that plan within the following year. And the intelligence community considered that to be out of the question. And according to the documents that I saw, his assassination was ordered by the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group, which is really the secret world government, and was carried out by agents of Division 5 of the FBI, the Secret Service, the Central Intelligence Agency, and the Office of Naval Intelligence, of which I was a part, in Dallas. And it said that the assassin, the man who actually administered the head wound, was the driver of the car, William Greer, a Secret Service agent who used an assassination pistol built by the CIA for assassinations that was really an air gun that fired an exploding pellet or could fire a small hypodermic needle or a poison dart using any one of many different deadly poisons. Specifically, it said that he fired an exploding pellet which contained shellfish toxin, and that the act was plainly visible in a film withheld from the public. I looked for 16 years to find that film, and I finally found a copy that showed William Greer turn around and shoot the president. And since 1988, I've been showing that film wherever I'm able to show it to wake people up. It is not assassinated in a manner that assured the greatest flow of blood, which is called blood atonement, which was practiced by Freemasonry in the early days and supposedly is not practiced now.
لكن ربما يكون الجزء الأكثر رعبا في شهادة كوبر هو حديثه عن أسلحة الدمار الشامل الصامتة. الأوبئة والأمراض ليست دائما غضبا من الطبيعة. يتحدث كوبر عن خطة مرعبة لتقليص عدد سكان الأرض بحلول عام 2000 باستخدام الفيروسات المصنعة. أشار بوضوح إلى أن مرض الإيدز لم يكن صدفة، بل تم تطويره ضمن مشروع الاستخبارات المركزية MK كأسلحة بيولوجية لاستهداف أعراق وفئات محددة. إنها حرب صامتة ضد البشرية للسيطرة على الموارد.
Now today, the fourth horseman is riding across the world now. That's what AIDS is all about. That's what all these little brush fire wars all over the world are all about. That's what's happening. That's why cancer cures are suppressed. It's because they fully intend to kill a minimum of 2 billion people by the year 2000. AIDS is an invention of man. It is not a natural disease, and it has been implemented and placed into the population as a population control. And when they did it, they had the cure before they did it. And when they deem that enough people have died or been killed, they will say, we have a cure for AIDS. And everybody will be called to report to some place to get an inoculation, which is going to do two things. One, it's going to stop AIDS in its tracks. And number two, it's going to implant a device which will be able to be used to track each individual person and maybe even to control those people. And that's what the petty...
That may indeed be the case.
It's not ridiculous. I actually saw this in documents. And the project name was Project Naomi. MK Naomi was the name of it. It was a CIA project. The AIDS, whatever causes AIDS, whatever that turns out to be, according to those documents, was developed at Fort Detrick, Maryland, under a CIA project called MK Naomi. It was financed by $10 million for the Department of the Army's biological warfare programs. It was carried out, supervised by the CIA, carried out by scientists who work for the Special Operations Division of the Department of Defense. It's doing its job.
لأحكام السيطرة، يرى كوبر أن الحروب تصنع بعناية. حرب الخليج لم تكن من أجل النفط أو تحرير الأراضي، بل لتأسيس سابقة قانونية تمنح الأمم المتحدة سلطة الشرطة العالمية. ولضمان عدم استيقاظ الشعوب، تستخدم وسائل الإعلام والرياضة والملايين التي تدفع للرياضيين كسيرك روماني حديث تخدير العقول بالترفيه المستمر بينما تسرق حرياتهم في الخفاء. رسالة كوبر الأخيرة كانت واضحة: الاستيقاظ، التفكير المستقل، ورفض الخضوع المطلق أو الاستعداد لدفع ثمن حريتنا.
With the United Nations. Have you seen the new Air Force uniforms yet? Nowhere on them does it say United States or U.S. They are United Nations uniforms. Go look at them.
All right. What role in the Middle East again does Israel play in this?
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees. On the radio the other day, they just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive? And when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor, he sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets. And they think that's a great accomplishment.
Gun around his shoulder and shooting President Kennedy in the head that caused his head to snap back. Did the Warren Commission see this? It seems so.
The Warren Commission never looked at the Zapruder film, ever. So they never saw it. Now, I don't know who testified during the Warren Commission about the Zapruder film, if anybody did. But I do know that later at the investigations of the House Select Committee on Assassinations, that a man was specifically hired as an expert witness to view the Zapruder film and tell the committee what it showed. And that man's name is Robert Groden. He wrote High Treason, which is a bestseller out now on the Kennedy assassination. And he was one of the many so-called technical experts for the making of Oliver Stone's film called JFK. He's also a fake, a fraud, a traitor, a liar. He was hired by the House Select Committee on Assassinations based upon his resume, which says, very simply, that he is the world's foremost #1 photo analyst, which is a lie. He never went to school in photography. He never was a photographer. He never was a photo analyst. And I got to tell you right now that the world's #1 foremost photo analysts all come out of the military intelligence community, who are trained to interpret high altitude photography and learn what really is there. He never served in that capacity either. He looked at the Zapruder film and he told Congress, he told the committee in testimony, he testified, both in written and in verbal form, that William Greer never took his hands off the steering wheel. And that's a blatant lie. I mean, anybody can look at the Zapruder film and see that William Greer takes his hands off the steering wheel. And even if you couldn't see it, if they cut out the frames, you can still see that William Greer, if this were the seat of the car, is turned all the way around with his right side against the rear cushion of the front seat, looking directly at President Kennedy in this attitude. And it is a physical impossibility to have both hands on the wheel in that attitude. So we know that Robert Grubbs, #1, was not who he said he was, had no expertise to be doing the job that he was hired to do. #2, even if he had no expertise, it is plainly visible in the film that William Greer could not possibly have had both hands on the wheel. So we know that Robert Groden didn't make a mistake. We know that he intentionally lied to deceive Congress and thus the American people. And what's real strange about it is he's been very active in the research community, supposedly exposing the assassination of President Kennedy, but